Hello, everybody. This is Vapoc here. We're going to give just a couple more minutes, but I want to go ahead and get the stream started. Let everybody know that this was kicking off. So we're see people filtering in pretty quickly here. I'm going to wait for just a couple more folks to show up.
All right. 1 second while I just get a couple things set.
And here we have Paul and Jeff.
What's up, guys? I hope you all checked for ticks.
Oh man, can hear everyone. Can everyone hear people talking? Okay. Let's see. Get chat opened.
Oh. All right, Paul, I'm going to just double check with you real quick. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to start, and then we'll go through with a quick introduction for Discord stage and go from there.
Yep, sorry, I was just checking the record. We're good.
Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Vapoc. Obviously joined here with Jeff and Paul from Veil. Real quick, I just want to give everybody a quick introduction to how Discord stage is going to be working tonight. There will be a Q&A later on, and the way we're going to be doing this is through the request to speak button that is on the bottom next to your controls on the bottom of the Discord stage. So as we get near the Q&A, if you have a question that you would like to actually say, it will be an audio. You can raise your hand, request to speak, and actually ask your question. If you don't feel comfortable using the audio, when it does come time to the Q&A, post your question in the chat, and then as moderator, I'll work through and see if that's a question that we want to bring to the forward or not. That being said, that's pretty much all of the info I have about Discord stage. Feel free to use the chat, be very interactive. We definitely want this to be an interactive conversation, and we're looking forward to hearing a lot about how Jeff and Paul came up with Veil. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jeff and Paul.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vapoc. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for setting this all up for us.
Yeah. So first and foremost, we'll introduce ourselves. I think some of you have seen an interview that we did with Esty not too long ago. But I'm Jeff. I'm Paul as Paul, and we're really grateful for how many of you are so passionate about what we wanted to do here. I think, like many of you, we've done a few hunts, similar to this in the past. And the entire reason that we started this is because we wanted the fun to keep going. So we really appreciate all of you joining us on this adventure and giving your feedback and how amazing the Discord group was. We can't talk about any of this without talking about Vapoc. Vapoc was instrumental in helping to set up the Discord. Had Paul and I been the ones to do it, it would have existed in some awful fashion. So we're really glad that Vapoc was there to help and provide a great space for everybody to get together and hang out. But thank you, Vapoc.
Yeah, thank you, Vapak. We really could have done this without you. And this is actually formed into, arguably the best part of this whole experience is getting like a really tight knit community together. For those of you that were in the paid chat, it was lively as the hunt went on. And even like a couple days, I saw people messaging at like 2 a.m, and I was like, wow, this is insane that we made something that people are talking about it, at all hours of the night. It was really exciting.
Yeah, we can't really go much further either without congratulating everyone who went out and searched, but especially Pope Mothballs, who is here on the chat. So Pope, thank you. We'll be joined by Pope in a few minutes here, but we just want to congratulate you now, Pope, and say thank you for your hard work. I think I saw Diddy. I'm not exactly sure what Diddy's full username is, but said that you were out there like 10 times or something, which is crazy. So you've truly earned it, man.
I believe a couple of quick Pope Mothball stats. I believe he said he searched for over 40 hours in total, and he was active from like right on the get go of when we launched this. He was one of like the early members, and he started sending me his search areas as he was looking at, I guess he was trying to get something out of us, but we would just say, oh, that's great, man, have fun out there. But on the fourth day, he sent me a search area of 3 parks that included Watchung in the field, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy, this guy's going to solve this on the 5th day. But lo and behold, he got there. He chose the wrong park initially, but he did end up getting there. It was exciting, so we're glad that he was active the whole time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing his story too in a few minutes here. So I have a few other thanks real quick. Of course, we've got to thank Jenny from Mysterious Writings. Jenny welcomed us into the huge community that she's been fostering over the past, however many years, a while now. So we're really appreciative of Jenny and everyone who found us through Mysterious Writings page. We're appreciative of everyone who found us from our interview with Esty. Esty, I don't know if you're here, but we're I know a number of people who said that they found us by that interview. So thanks, man. We appreciate that. And Dan Leonard from Skydrop, we spoke with Dan a few days before we launched, and we were like, look, man, we're doing something like obviously inspired by it in some form or fashion, but we just want to hear your take so that we can make sure that we are improving on what we feel is like a really fun version of hunts. So that was cool. I'm sure he's not on here. I don't know if he followed us after we launched, but if you're listening, Dan, thanks, man.
Just a quick interlude there. Esty's got other fish to fry right now. He just launched Esty's Quest 3 for those of you interested in the area. Yeah. So I would give that a check out.
I think his is like a $3,200 or $3,800 gold coin or something like that. It's a fun hunt in the Mid-Atlantic area. So if you haven't followed along with Esty yet, definitely give him a shout. Awesome. Okay, Paul, I think maybe go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We just wanted to go over and say that we've in a little over 16 days we've massed over 1,000 about 1,000 users between our free and paid tiers. So we really just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's participated. We were talking about how the community is the best part of this, and we love seeing people spitball their ideas, and we appreciate everybody telling us how they work through their clues, and it's brought a lot of insight to us, and it'll bring about some positive changes too to help this form into something that gets even better every step of the way. But we couldn't do it without you guys, and we really appreciate everybody for being here.
One last thing before we get to Pope, I just give a quick tease to the clue stuff here, and then we'll dive into that after we hang out with Pope for a few minutes. But basically, we all played the game. Some of you were free members, some of you paid. But for the free members, you had access to the circles and the trail cam. Paid members got access to the clues. Our hope with the clues was that we could tailor a hunt to people of a variety of interests. And I think what we saw throughout was probably that was the case, and that some people really vibed with one type of clue, or maybe didn't vibe as much with another type of clue. But our hope was that at least there was kind of something for everybody, and that those clues were rooted in a sense of exploration and adventure and learning about an area that you may not have known about. So we're always looking at how we can improve that, especially for Veil 2, and we really appreciate the feedback that we got early on. our goal with the clues was to reduce the size of each day's circle significantly. And I'm sure going back through, and we'll see when we go through the solve later, you'll see that, there's really one location that had all of these things. Obviously, there were a bunch of areas that had Revolutionary War soldiers and whatnot. But the goal was to really chop that circle up in a tiny bits. And that combined with how much rain we got the first couple days, Paul and I were sweating it early on there. We thought, oh crap, this might end early. Thankfully, it ended at really a perfect amount of time. But we just wanted to. Our goal was to push the envelope. What we felt like was the envelope anyway. Yes, the riddle was just a riddle, but the glitch originally was just a photo. But we thought of the glitch idea actually on the ride to the park, and thought, okay, maybe we can infuse another level of like investigative work and make it fun and whatnot. Same thing with Straight Line Mission. That was originally just a word of a place, and we thought, well, what can we give a visual to help reinforce what people are searching for? So that was our goal. We know that some of it didn't quite go off without a hitch. Like there were some questions on the Straight Line Missions that we now have a plan for how we would improve upon. If and when those come back at some point. We just appreciate you guys going on this adventure with us and hanging with us while we've tweaked some things, and hopefully we've earned your trust, or at least your joy enough to come back for another one sometime soon. 2 weeks, if not any hunt after that.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, anything else you want to say before we bring Pope up?
No, I think we're ready. If Pope's ready, there we go. Just give him
This
a
will be
second.
my first time seeing Pope, not on a trail camera, hearing Pope. Hey, Pope.
How are you doing?
Good. Welcome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting the hunt, both of you, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your adventure with our hunt, of course, but I guess in general too, like how you came to find out that we were even a thing, and what your experience was like with the clues and out boots on the ground.
Sure. I think I discovered the hunt. Oh, it was either Cow Lasers or MD Treasures. I believe it was MD Treasures, but one of the Discords that posts all the new treasure hunts. And I'm always on the eye for ones that are in the Mid-Atlantic, just because that's my home region. In terms of boots on the ground, there wasn't so much in the first week, but once we got to week 2 and the area was more definitive, it was kind of easier to say, okay, I'm going to go boots on the ground here. In the first week, I think the only major piece of information was the storm system that came through on days 2 and 3, which really narrowed it down, because all the subsequent storm systems were kind of like scattered rain, but there was a very clear front that came through on, it was either day or 2 or 3. Unfortunately, I made a lot of gaffes with blocking off areas on my map and doubting myself, and I basically early on had a exclusion layer on my map that basically said if the population density is too high, exclude this area, because there's no way they'll put it in Metro Union County, New Jersey, right? So we spent a lot of rabbit holes down High Point and things in northern New Jersey until maybe a week, maybe 6 days into the hunt. I decided to remove that filter just because nothing in northern Jersey was fitting anymore. And then we were basically down to Jockey Hollow, Great Swamp, a few other small things like Jersey Brigade and Watchung. At that point, I said to myself, I'm like, there's no way it's Watchung. There's a geocache every 10th of a mile. They wouldn't do that. It's just going to get accidentally discovered. So then started the research on Jockey Hollow, discovering everything matched with the research. This is before we had glaciers and dinosaurs. So I spent, it was either 5 or 6 days on the ground there. Each day was 8 to 12 hours of just grid searching the park. I think I managed to a little over twice. The landscape looked good in some places, so I was convinced that it was at least the right region. And this is when the circle was still all the way out to like Allentown, Pennsylvania. So I was pretty sure that that region of Jersey was the right region. But it spent probably 6 or 7 days just searching Jockey Hollow, and then when the dinosaur hints drop and the glacier hints drop, I'm like, oh, that doesn't quite work. So had to rethink. It's kind of funny because when the Nestled In Mountains came out, I don't remember which day of the hunt that was. It was 5 or 6. I immediately thought, oh, Watchung 1, Watchung 2. It's probably between the Watchungs. And yet I never capitalized on that. So it took all the way until the Raptor hint for me to say, okay, fine, I'll go boots on the ground at Watchung. And it's really ironic that I spent so long at Jockey Hollow, and then I get to Watchung on Friday, and within an hour I find it. Miserable day all the days I went out, by the way. I'm sitting in the office, it's sunny every single day, and then every day I go out, it's just miserable.
So what drew you to that part of the park?
Honestly, I started at the southern end. I don't drive, so I took the train to Fanwood and just started at where the southern end meets the road there, and decided to walk along the river because the mining clue, and I knew the Blue Brook is kind of where they found the fossils. So I'm like, all right, let me just walk south to north along the river and just look for the landscape. So while I am terrible at putting together these clues, and it took me so long to figure out, oh yes, it's Watchung, I think my strength is when I see landscape, I'm pretty easily able to tell, okay, this is definitely the right landscape or this isn't. So walking up the creek, I didn't even really stop until I looked down this side trail, and I can kind of see the right slopage, and particularly there's these golden patches of grass that grow, and they're kind of unique because they don't grow everywhere. It kind of has to be a level area, a slight slope, and it has to be wet, right? So that was the first place in the park, after like a mile and a quarter, that I saw there's the golden grass growing along this trail. So I was like, all right, let me just walk up this trail. And when there's these patches on the side of the trail, I'll walk into them and follow them till their end and just see if it looks promising. And then I eventually get to the golden patch that's actually a little farther up the trail than the hide, but it comes back down parallel to the trail. And I just kept going through it. I'm like, okay, this looks really good, really good, really good. And then I stumbled on the latest glitch clue with the big giant fallen log, and that was the aha moment.
Nice. It's awesome that you got to the solve through one of the glitch clues. That's exciting for us at least. Just a quick. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say at the same time though, like even if you found that log, you were still like 300 feet from it. So I guess you just oriented yourself with the log and then walked until you recognized another image.
I had the geocaching app open on my phone just because it makes me able to do waypoints really easy. So I just set a waypoint to my current position, walked 300 feet away, and then just started going in a circle.
Got it. Okay.
Nice. We had to promise Pope that we won't put the next treasure in Jockey Hollow. He said he needs a break from it. So,
although on the upside, if you do, I might recognize the exact tree. I'm so into it with it now.
So what was what was running through your head when you realized, oh wait a minute, like this might be where it is?
Well, it was a weird feeling when I found, because I had previously found other patches of the golden grass, the stilt grass, and they were promising. So I was like, okay, let me just search this out. When I found that one with that slight 5-10% slope, I was like, oh my god, this feels exactly like the photos in the glitches. This feels exactly it. And then a part of me in my head is also saying, that's just confirmation bias. You're crazy. You're not going to find it here. Buckle down for another few hours of hunting. And then I just stumbled along the log like 5 minutes later. I'm like, oh my god, it is here.
So you saw, did you know where it was before you actually saw the treasure then? Like you knew, okay, it's going to be like 50 feet over there? Or did you see the trail cam or the treasure sitting there?
No, I was, after I went 300 feet away from the fallen log, I was kind of just speed walking through the woods looking for something. And then I eventually saw the camera. I think I passed it a few times, but I eventually saw the camera.
For those of you who are curious, the way that we took back there the initial time that we went and where we took those glitch clues, those glitches were like entirely through like a bunch of bramble bushes, and it was like really nasty getting back there. And so I don't know if many people were around for this, but the people who were here originally on like day 3 or maybe 5 or something like that, we had a deer and like push the trail cam over, and it couldn't see the treasure anymore. And so I had to go back out there, and I found like an entirely like free and clear path to get back there. So I'm hoping that you didn't have to wade through as much of the like sticker bushes as we did.
No, I think I found the clear path, the one from the east. Yeah.
We kept
Yeah,
joking that the bramble was like the final boss. Like anybody who's out here and this close, it's like the ultimate baddie that you've got to go through to get your to get your prize. I'm glad you didn't have to do it.
I will say it was not actually that easy to recognize the fallen log, because since you took that photo, even in just the 20 days or so, there is a lot of new things that have grown up in the area. So it was, you have to see it through all these saplings and grass and things. And I was like, is that it? Oh my god, that's the log.
Did you do all of this searching?
Sorry?
So did you do all of this? Oh, go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You go.
I was just gonna say, did you do all of your searching by yourself, or I think I saw that Diddy had said that you guys might have met up a couple of times.
So yeah, twice at Jockey Hollow, Diddy and I went together. Basically after work, most of the times I went to Jockey Hollow, except for one full day where in the evening and into the night with flashlights. But he lives in Jersey, and we would just meet at Morristown train station and take a ride over to Jockey Hollow. He searched northern New Jersey parks early on his own, just to get a feel of areas like High Point or Hamburg Mountain. And then I think on Friday he might have actually been in Great Swamp, or he didn't go because of the weather.
And can you just tell us the story about how you two paired up?
I don't even remember. It was just a message on Discord.
But you guys met through this hunt, right?
Through Discord, yeah. Through this I don't even remember who initiated it. I just said, hey, you looking at, I think he was looking at weather too. We were both looking at weather on day 2, and we're like, hey, you want to compare notes on this storm front coming through?
Oh, nice. That's awesome. That's
Awesome,
like
man.
really exciting to be able to like have a hopefully a longer friendship spur out of this. It would be really cool, you know.
Of course.
Yeah, it's cool that you and I know others too have made, like real world friends and connections, which is like a great thing that I don't think we really expected to happen. I also like couldn't do this without mentioning BK, who I think was driving from Kentucky. Like when you found it, I think it was BK.
Yeah. BK drove like about 11 hours, I think. 9 hours, somewhere in there.
I think Amanda Larson was like on a plane the day before flying out or something. There were like a number of you who like traveled great distances, which it's just so cool to it's cool to know that we had even just a small part in helping you guys go on an adventure and make a friend and stuff. That's awesome. So really great to hear.
And a lot
I don't know
if became household names. It's pretty cool. Like we were talking, we'll get into it a little bit later with some of the strategies that people had. But my wife would say, "Oh, like this person's like, I feel like they're getting really good at it, or they're getting closer." But it was cool to be able to kind of like see how it unfolded from our end, even though we weren't playing the game. We were following along.
I don't know who it was, by the way, but when I was in Watchung on the day that I found it, about 30 minutes before finding it, I did hear people's voices in the woods. So someone else was there looking on that day, down by the abandoned town.
I think there were several people looking that day.
I know 2 or 3 people mentioned on the Discord that they were there, and there's someone who we actually know from a fantasy basketball league who was like in the south part of the park there that day. And we're like, obviously anybody who like would have found it, fairly, like you get it, but like we're so glad that it was somebody who we didn't know because that would have been a really bad look for the first hunt. So I'm sure he was out there too. But that's awesome, man. It's cool that you made it there first, and you were out there in really crummy kind of days, and you persevered. So just congratulations to you. Excited for you, and hopefully you had enough fun to want to do it again.
Of course.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. So next we've got solve stuff, which I know a lot of people will want to hear about and have some thoughts on. I think we mentioned the trail cam. Just one other note on the trail cam, aside from the deer moving it. We were panicked. April showers bring May flowers. We were worried that it was going to rain and screw the whole thing up, and that is exactly what happened. We debated. We originally had 15 minutes, and then we thought, let's do like a 20-minute interval, and then I was like, well, let's just go an hour, like it'll be fine. And we settled on 30, and when that storm rolled through, Paul and I were on the phone watching the radar and watching the map, the trail cam image, and it rained at the site like it was 2 or 3 minutes after the image had updated. So we're just watching that storm roll through. So we feel like we dodged a little bit of a bullet there.
It could have been worse. It wasn't good. Definitely wasn't good, but it could have been worse. We could have been like completely eliminated right on that fourth day or third day or whatever it was.
Yeah, and because of that, I know that kind of leads nicely into the circle part of it. I know a few of you, like I think Obsessed Jared posted the circles moving, and maybe one or two others of you had too. But you can see like the day that the rain happened when Paul and I were like starting to play a game to make sure that this thing didn't end after day 6 or 7. We wanted it to go on. We didn't want it to go to day 21 or 20. That would have been terrible. But we wanted it to go to like a nice middle length for everyone's benefit, really. And we knew that like a huge chunk of places had been, probably eliminated, or people would have started to think they were eliminated because of the rain. If you get a light rain or even a moderate rain, like it's hard to tell, but there were some like big red cells that were running through that day.
It was almost like a little bit of a game within a game. I mean, not in like the clue aspect, because that was all set from before we started, but in the way that we manipulated the circles, we definitely a little bit initially, as Jeff's unfolding them there, a little bit initially to be able to help us lengthen the game, but then towards the end too to try and help everybody get to a quicker solve. So we feel like we aimed for a solve between days 15 and 19, and I feel like we were almost at the end of day 16. So I would consider that a major success on our part, for what we were aiming for our goal.
Right, and we totally we designed the clues so that if it had gone one day past, which we'll show you guys the clues that were to come, but had it gone one day past when it was found, the clues would have been like, okay, it's over here, like let's get it. And we're glad that it was found when it was found. It was the perfect time for it, but we knew we didn't want it to get like too late in the game and have too many people looking at one time, because that wouldn't be great for anything either. So clues, I know we posted the clue guides. In the future, we'll post the clue guides before the hunt, and we'll make sure that if there are any questions about what those clues are, people have a chance to reach out, and by doing it before the hunt, that'll give us a chance to make sure things are tightened up enough to where if there are any questions, we can update the formatting or whatever that is, like we had to do. Didn't love doing that mid hunt, but it was more important for us that it was clear with what the goal was, especially with the straight line clues.
Just to go over a little bit of our like logic behind that, it's hard to know when to interfere in these because there's an element of like deception that some people try to include, that we don't necessarily feel like we need to interject and stuff like that, but then we also want to make sure that people understand the way that the actual clue is playing out. And so it's hard for us to tell. There's a very fine line between when we know we've explained it to somebody 6 times and we believe they get it and they're just like intentionally saying something wrong, versus when like they actually don't understand. And so like, and it happens in other ways too, not just with the clues. So we were trying to balance that. I think we did okay, but if anybody felt any pain points in that, we're working through it.
Well, and what Paul's saying too is that like we know that this was part of the game. At some point, we felt it on like the first Sunday, I guess. We felt like a shift and like, oh wait, people are definitely throwing up smoke screens, and we don't want to interfere with that part of it. But by the same token, like we just want to, we really care about what we're doing, and we just want to make sure that we're giving everybody an experience that is worth your time and money.
Actually, wait, real quick. Real point. So coincidentally, on like maybe like day 9 or 10. Everybody was starting to hide their intentions a little bit, and so Pope went into the chat and said, "Oh yeah, I think the Watchung Reserve would be a great spot to search." And in reality, you were searching Jockey Hollow at the time, I guess, because you thought it was the more likely of the scenario. So it's just funny that some people were like, unintentionally sending people to the right spot. There's there's a lot of alternates that come out, alternatives that come out of that are really really funny to watch out on our side.
All right, so without further ado, let's hop into clue stuff here. Let's do a hop through each of these itself. Paul, should we go through each section of clue, or should we just run day 1 through 21?
Yeah, we can. The one that they're going to have to see is the straight line, but other than that, we can talk through these. I think one by one.
Okay.
I would do the glitch and the riddle, and then we'll do the straight line last. So everybody can wait the longest for that one. Well, unless you want to get out of the way.
That's all right. We'll start with the glitches. I think they seem to be the most enjoyed. So we'll walk you through what our thinking was for each of these and what our hope was of what it would give you. So for this first glitch, obviously we're 5 feet from the treasure here. In the glitch, this shows that this area has been forested at some or logged or clear cut at some point, which would have eliminated, I think, maybe 3 parks that were old growth forests in the state. That's the one thing in our mind anyway that you're like absolutely getting here is that at one point these trees were not here. And if you can find like old growth maps of the country, and most of New Jersey has been clear cut at one point or another, but it did have cut down a little bit
They
there.
did have a sawmill in Watchung as well, which would have
Right.
contributed to that.
Absolutely, yeah. In 1754 is roughly when the sawmill when they started clearing. They said several, I think 300 acres or more. And I think I should say too, a source for a lot of our information for this was certainly Watchung's the park's website. They have 2 really cool like self-guided PDFs, like tours of the park. One of them is about the history, and the other one's about the geology in the park. You can like do those those tours like in the park. They have like little, graphics and whatnot as you walk along the trails, but that information is available online too. And for those of you that don't know, there's a really cool nature center there. I think it's called Watchung Nature Center, and they've got someone posted the day I think, or the day before that Pope found it. They posted a picture of them standing outside the wigwam, and I said to Paul, dude, they're in the wigwam in the nature center. Somebody is there.
He was so close. He was like 1,500 feet.
Right. So for the next glitch happened on day 4. This glitch showed a Native American, and obviously the Lenni Lenape were all over in the region, but the value that we saw in this clue is that we know for a fact that the Lenni Lenape were in this specific park, and even though they were generally everywhere, the amount of places where it's like documented that they were is fewer. So that was the connection here, and with the hope that we could narrow down the circle for those that were receiving the clues even further there.
This clue actually was the most contentious point between the two of us. We had a little bit of a internal struggle over this one because our brains work a little differently. Before we launched, and I was like, Jeff, we can't do this because in my mind, I would start immediately looking for things that have like ties to, Native American names or reservations and stuff like that. I was like, it's really going to limit the amount of parks. It worked out, but clearly we just had a little bit of a different thinking on that. But we went through it and it was fine, so.
Yeah. Next on the list was the Revolutionary War soldiers. So what was cool about Watchung is that it kind of laid low in Revolutionary War history because South Mountain Reservation, there was an outpost there. There was an outpost at Washington Rock State Park. And Watchung is a place where the soldiers passed through. They traversed between the 2 locations, and then all of it was keeping an eye out on the British. And at one point they had Hessian soldiers that they were transporting that was documented. So our goal with this image was to show not an encampment, not a fort, but Revolutionary War soldiers passing through a place.
They also the park served as also a retreat ground during the Battle of, I believe, Short Hill. So they had the Revolutionary War troops retreated back up through the reserve to get back to safer ground. And another fun fact is that at one point they had taken Hessian prisoners, and they were among the people who helped dig the mine, which is a later clue down the way that we'll get into.
Mm-hmm. So next, possibly the most contentious clue, which Paul and I going in, we thought, oh man, like this clue combined with the day 11 clue, which was the riddle that revealed the glacial map as a key. We thought that those two clues combined probably eliminated it too much. I know that there was, I messed up with the wigwam. If it makes anybody feel better, which it should not, it should probably make you feel worse. I did search for wigwam and I picked the picture of a teepee, like in to Photoshop into it. But we were part of why we overlooked it, which is, my mistake. We learned from that. But part of why we overlooked it is because we were really focused on the solar eclipse and how the solar eclipse is represented in the image. Probably a little bit too focused on it, to be honest. So with the eclipse here, I'm going to zoom in here. We learned something from this, which I'll touch on at the end. But what we show here is not a total solar eclipse. And I say not a total solar eclipse for a few reasons. One, it's not dark in the image. We wanted to make sure that it was clear that maybe it's a little dimmer than normal light, but it's still daylight. We are not in total eclipse territory. We also were very intentional of showing a moon that was not centered on the sun, so that we're only covering a percentage of it. Now, what we didn't realize really in hindsight is that with the pixelation of the image, you can't tell if this is 97% totality, 99% totality, and that's an area where we think we should improve on this type of clue in the future. But the goal and the reason for the wigwam being in there was that we wanted people to be tied to a specific time. And that time for the solar eclipse was the most recent eclipse most recent eclipse before this area was settled. So prior to the settlement, we knew that there were Lenni Lenape living there. So the idea was that, okay, Lenni Lenape we know that they're in this park right before European settlers got there. So we've got like a documented time for when that is. But what we should have done is probably included like a musket or something on the wigwam so that you knew, okay, it was like definitely between these two dates. And the reason why that all kind of became key is because with an eclipse that's at 98% totality, it's a gray area. And even though we looked on maps to see like, okay, what was the percentage of totality in New York City? What was the percentage in Boston? What was the percentage in all these different areas so that we could understand what the exact aesthetic would have been on the day that this happened in 1694, I think. The gray area is so wide that this didn't end up being as strong a clue as we would have hoped. Now, on the flip side, had you thought, okay, let's give it a little bit of a buffer and say it's a 97 or 96% totality for the eclipse. If you were to bring that to the map, what that would have done on day, we're at day 10 here, so let me just go back to day 10 history here. So this is the circle we were working with, and if I pull up my other tab over here, you can see where that eclipse actually happened in 1694. If you follow off, it's like about, I think it's 25 miles, if I recall, per percent totality, give or take, when you're within in the range there. And what that would have done is, if you were up at like 96% even, you would have been like somewhere up here in North Jersey. So yeah, that still leaves a ton of the circle in. But on the next day, it was the glacial clue and the glacier, which we'll bring the map up for that when we get to the riddle. But the glacier really only existed in the top portion here, and it just barely dipped down and covered Watchung, which I believe was the source for that was the Watchung Geology Trail guide. So those two clues together. Yeah, those two clues together was like borderline. We thought we might be giving away too much, but we appreciate everybody's feedback, and we've got a good plan for how we would hone in on something like that in the future.
Just a couple things to add to we didn't get to the glacier yet, but if you want to go to the glacier clue, actually, sorry, we're going to the riddles next. But for the glacier, I know some people were talking about the sources and maps for that. We did verify also, aside from it being included in the geology guide from the reservation, we did find a map. I mean, ArcGIS data from the Laurentide Glacier, which is a part of the Wisconsin Laurentide ice sheet, and it did in fact extend about a mile and a quarter south of the reservation, including it. So I think that there were like some low resolution maps that were definitely available on the internet, but there is higher resolution stuff on ArcGIS if you want to look that up as well. But it is included also on the park geology guide.
Our main our main reference for that one was what was written in the geology guide there, because they noted it extended south of here. We thought, okay, it went just south of here. That's perfect, because it's like Paul said, it's hard to tell with the maps.
Yeah, we just wanted to verify, but we're good.
Also, what was cool about this glitch is that we showed a little bit of water here, and I wonder if I can show it on Google Maps. There was if you look between this clue and the next glitch, which I'll just fast forward to the next glitch here. In this glitch here, yes, this was relating to the mining that happened. It was a small mine that happened in Watchung. They were mining for copper, and they dug out like part of a hillside near the river. We don't know if they just panned it or if they had a little sluice or something like that. But this was just to represent, this is was a mining operation. And when on the day that this came out, day 13, with the rain that had happened, we thought this is kind of risky. It only leaves 3 mines really left in an area where it hadn't rained. But on the flip side, it kept us from using the dinosaur clue or the Nike missile base clue, which would have really given it away. So we felt like the timing was right, and at that point, we knew that a lot of people may not have gone back and looked at the weather history had they not, been involved, on day 3 or 4 when it rained that much. But if you do look on the terrain map of Watchung, which actually looked way more detailed on my phone than it did on the internet, but you can actually see there's like a split in the ravine here, and you can see it like form a Y, like right near where the treasure is or was. So this was another one where we thought somebody's like really looking and trying to hone in. Maybe they could get something even additional to this. That was the intention.
A couple other things on this one. So, like I said earlier, some of the troops from the Revolutionary War that were prisoner did help start this, or were forced to start it. They only made it about, I believe, 18 feet in before it kind of caved, and they had to give up on it. But it is on the National Registry for mines, so that's public.
Okay. The next clue here. Oh, actually, you can I'll just pull the tab over real quick. It does. You can like kind of see where the this type of like ravine or like the very early part of a stream or whatever was forming, and that's like right where we were. So next was the dinosaurs. So we knew that there were fossils at the reservation. I emailed the paleontologist who found those fossils, Dr. Paul Olson, and I just said, hey, like I'm just doing some research about Watchung. Can you tell us what kind of species these were and whatnot? And he got back to me like immediately late at night, and he gave that information. He's like, hey, you can get all this at the museum. And I said, yeah, I called the museum. They didn't know where it was. So he's currently on a search to try and track down where those fossilized footprints that are. Maybe it's just happened to be someone who just didn't know who answered the phone. But he was very concerned about the location of those fossils. So I'm actually going to be back at Watchung later this week. We will give a stop in there and see if the fossils are located. Okay, and we didn't get to clue 19, but had we gotten to clue 19, you would have seen the Nike missile site, which was actually behind us in this perspective, but still, pretty close to where the picture was taken. You also would have seen the part of a trail here, the white trail marker. So at this point, we think that everybody would have been scrambling through the bramble and getting all cut up like we did to go get it. Paul, are there any questions in the chat?
They are in the. Yeah, I'm monitoring it. We have a couple things, but Dan Klebanner just said that the fossils are in fact in the Trailside Center, so that's good.
Awesome, thanks. Good, thank you. And I'm sure that'll help Dr. Olson rest. Yep. He said those are on loan from Yale. They better know where they are. Paul, any questions in the chat on the glitches? Anything you think is worthwhile to talk about now, or should we roll into the next?
There were some people who thought that there were surprises to how close they were, but nothing too much. I think we answered everything just naturally.
We've got Q&A at the end.
Would have left 0 other parks in the circle. It would have been late. But, yeah, and somebody said that there weren't many Nike bases left in the circle. Yeah, by that point, it would have been the only option.
There were 14 of those in New Jersey, and our goal with how we structured the clues is that we wanted to narrow down the number of options the further you get. And that it's not only narrowing down the options in the state, but it's also the options that are left within the circle, because we know every day our search area for the clues changes, it shrinks. So that was something that we actually didn't realize before we had, maybe a week before that we went live. We thought, oh, wait a minute, there's actually like a lot intertwined here. And then I think for the most part, it worked well. But it was a lot of juggling and reassessing as we went. So we'll jump into riddles. On land twice settled, the Lenni Lenape, and then the town of Feltville. In 1736, the sawmill was constructed, and then there was a town of I think 200 people. They had 40 or 50 something families living up to four families rather per house, and they were in the town of Feltville, which was the mill town for from the mid 1700s to I want to say 30 something, give or take, but I might be getting my dates confused there. But they were there for some time, and then the sawmill closed, and then sometime later, Glenside Resort was created on that land, and they had a resort there for a while, and then that went away, and it was bought by the county, I guess. So that was land twice settled. Once felled and armed thrice. Once felled was the logging that had happened for the sawmill. Armed thrice was the Native Americans. For those of you who had looked into the history here, there was it's called the Lenape. What was it called? The Lenape. Let me just Google it real quick, because there's a name to the story. The legend of, let's see, Watchung. There's an image that's going to pop up, and there's somebody standing next to it. Here it is. The legend of Watchung in 1670. This was a tale about Native Americans who had encountered settlers, and then there was a skirmish, and somebody I think got shot, and then they, I believe, relations normalized a little bit after that, not for too long obviously, but normalized a little bit. But that was the first armed. The second armed was the Revolutionary War, with soldiers passing back and forth actively through the reserve there, and then the third was the Nike Missile Base with the Cold War. Nestled in mountains, Watchung 1 and Watchung 2. So nestled right in between those mountain ranges. Once crushed by tall ice, which we discussed, was the Ice Age map there, and also the source with the geology trail. Jurassic beneath, I think just about everybody got this. This was Jurassic bedrock. If you looked for surficial, I think it is the terminology, surficial bedrock, you would have seen stuff from the Ice Age eras, but beneath that is Jurassic bedrock in this area, and this is day 14, and that cut the circle down pretty nicely. If we look at where the day 14 circle was, and then we look at the New Jersey geology map here, which I'll pull up on the screen.
It is Watchung is right on the edge of. If you pull up here, I'll grab this one second.
It would have been this green and red area was Jurassic basalt and Jurassic diabase. I think it's hard to tell because the font's small there, but that area would have. You do okay, yeah. It would have cut out the top of the circle.
It's impressive as to how close the park is in that map, but it is in Jurassic basalt. My share. Is that the thing?
Yeah. Do I need to stop, or you got it?
I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, you might need to stop.
There you go.
So share screen, make selection. Hang on 1 second, guys. Move this over here. Share screen. So in here, if you were to look, we're in the Bureau of GIS. Here is the Watchung Reservation, and we have Jurassic basalt. This right next slot here is Triassic siltstone. So we are right on the edge of. But it was good because we only have this entire area here is Jurassic bedrock, and so on either side, it was really cutting out a significant amount of the circle at this point. This was Precambrian. This was Triassic. So it was really, there were only a few parks that were possible once that point hit.
And what's cool too, I'll steal the screen back from you. What's cool too is that you can really see that formation from just from the map. Even if I go live on the screen here, if you're looking at the satellite view, you can tell where the Jurassic Rock is based on where the Watchung Mountains, the mountain ranges are. So the next clue after that, which is when we said, all right, the clues are going to start getting like maybe too good. High hills hide at best. Watchung is Lenape for high hills. So that would have been the clue there. And then had we made it beyond that, the last clue would have been a scramble through bramble for us anyway, 200 paces southwest, because the image on the day before would have showed the trail with the white marker, and it would have been that would have been your cue, 200 paces southwest, and you're going to get all torn up if you do it. So those were the riddles. We'll go to the straight line one now. The straight line, I call it the Johnny Fairplay of our hunt. For those of you that are familiar with Survivor from like, I don't know, 20 years ago, Johnny Fairplay was like, he was a castaway who a lot of people hated, a few people loved, and he was potentially like the linchpin in the whole season. And I know Vapoc loves Johnny Fairplay.
He lied. He lied and said his grandmother died in order to try and get some sympathy votes in there.
That's right.
It was iconic.
So I'll pull up the straight line clues. These straight line clues were designed, like, obviously if you find the line and it's cutting through a park, like we felt like we were giving away a lot, so we didn't want to give away too much too soon. But if I pull up the original clues here, we started searching for a pool within today's circle, and we were, standing at the edge of where that day's circle was, which is what the grass here represented. At least that was what we were intending to convey with these. Then you get to the pool. You can see the pool that has the lanes, the swimming lanes in the background. And then your next search is for a meadow within today's circle. We do know what we would do to make this clearer next time. We do appreciate, the feedback on it. Definitely much needed to streamline that, the straight line mission if we do bring it back. But anyway, then you get to a meadow. The next clue is a base, and yes, this is ambiguous. A base can be anything, but when you do get to the following image, you see the runway. And this runway, someone pointed out that the tarmac was actually a different color here, and that is a great point. I need to make sure that when I'm photoshopping these clues together, I need to make sure that I'm really mindful of that. And I really should have known because I live right near this base. I should have seen that and remembered. I drove by it today. There's actually like weeds growing up through through part of the asphalt there. And then the clue after this was Catholic Church. But if we focus on base, if we go back to day 9? And we look at what the circle looked like on day 9, which I'll peel out a few of these other circles. On day 9, there would have been 6 bases, actually 5 bases left within this circle that had a runway. So our base was the Horsham Air Base, which is a naval air base. There was the McGuire Air Force Base here. There was an air base at Lakehurst, excuse me. So Fort Dixon, Lakehurst. We had 2, I think, National Guard bases in North Jersey, but our hope was with this clue is that and I would love to hear Andrew H. 2020's thoughts on what gave it away for him, because I know as soon as Pope found it, he posted a straight line. And it's like, was this the line? It was the line. It was the line. But our hope was that with an area like the airbase, which you see here, you would then be able to look at subsequent circles after that. So once you knew it was the airbase was really day 12, because we had the picture of it. If you look at, if I turn on these other things here, I'm going to turn off a few of the previous circles just for clarity here. But if you would have drawn a line from the circle that we had that day through to make like an X through the airbase, you would have had a search area behind you for what to look for. So you would have been looking for, on the previous day was a meadow. So anywhere between these red lines is where you're looking for a meadow. Our meadow was the meadow at Longwood Gardens, which I don't have my labels on, but it's down here. Yep. So this is the meadow at Longwood Gardens. Really beautiful place. Definitely recommend checking it out if any of you are ever in the area. Longwood Gardens is awesome. But the meadow is it's magnificent and huge. So that was the meadow there, and then you could work your way further back to find the pool. Now the pool is way back. The pool was in just north of DC, between DC and Baltimore. It was a community center pool. And if you go back in history, I know you can't quite tell it here, but we can go back in time, and you can see. At some point, you can see the lanes in the pool there. So if I go back to really our hope for when this clue would have started to click for people. And again, Andrew, if you're still here, I'm going to keep an eye out for your thoughts in the chat. But our hope was once you have the air base, you're looking in this entire area here for the next clue, which is a Catholic church. And your range, if you draw this X, it starts wide because it has to start wide. We can't have, we don't want people to find it on day 4. But then this X gets narrower and narrower. And it does look like, at least in Andrew's screenshot is what we had hoped would happen. That X narrows to the point to where you've got like a 50 or 100 foot, width that you feel confident searching in. This one, we didn't want to make it too easy, so we did run the line through Sourland Mountain Preserve. We ran it through part of Washington Rock State Park and Watchung and South Mountain Reserve, and I think it just started to clip. Might have just missed the final line. Might have actually just missed. That was Eagle Rock.
Yep.
There, yeah. So that was the goal with the straight line mission. Then we take it through the. I'll turn the search range off now so we don't get confused. Then we would take it through St. Mary's Roman Catholic Church, which is a Catholic church. Our next clue. That's Catholic Church. Our next clue is a dam. The dam that we went through. Oh, and actually, before I even go to that, let me do it. No, I got to do it I think I have to do it in Google Maps. Let me just do it in Google Maps because I want to, not that it matters. I just want to show people that what we're showing in these images was very intentional. Mary, Mother of God, Roman Catholic Church. If you look at this church in 3D, which we're all about to do, you'll see that on the image here, if I bring the clue back up, sorry if I'm making anybody sick, we've got grass and then a big white wall there. And if you look in Google Earth and you were trying to gauge if that was your line, the line does actually go right through the side of this white wall there. So we did take it to that level of attention. Was our goal that we had set, for each one of these. The dam, I'll just quickly go to the dam and then we'll open it up in on an hour here. The dam was actually in Watchung Lake. So the dam would have been day 15?
Yep. It's just in on the edge.
Yeah, so as we zoom in here, Watchung Lake, I just passed it. This is the dam right there, right next to the Watchung Green. I think it's called the Watchung Green. And then I don't think we made it.
We didn't make it to that.
Had we, the next day would have been wonderful. So you would have seen, that you had to be in a kayak. Yeah, you would have seen you had to be in a kayak. We have this fountain here in the image because if you look on Google Earth, in some of the history on Google Earth, you can see the dots here, but these fountains in some of the Google Earth imagery actually are much more clearly defined. You can keep looking and you would be able to identify that as a location. So someone in the chat there said there is another dam. There is another dam. Best Lake has a dam as well. And then as we move further down the line here, the next clue would have been a Seeley's waterfall. I just passed the quarry here. Oops, went a little too far. Seeley's waterfall's right here. So we've been taken just to the edge, the top edge of Seeley's waterfall, maybe 30 or 40 feet off the edge of that. Which is actually the furthest kind of stretch from the line, but really just about right through it. And then the last point would have been gazebo, which I didn't actually make the graphic for. We didn't get there, but you're about 5 feet from the gazebo here. And then that takes you directly through to the point there. So it does look like that in Andrew's line anyway, that's what his thinking was.
I'm just trying to catch up with the chat.
That was it.
Quick.
Yeah, that was Vale. So questions? Any questions from the chat? I want to see.
Andrew said the base was key. He still needed a lot of. Actually, we could invite him in if you want. It's up to you, Andrew, if you wanted to come in and explain your method. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, chat's fine too. I was going to say, chat. You're welcome to, Andrew, if you want, but chat's also totally fine too. What was what did he say in the chat there, Paul?
He said the base was the key. He still needed a lot of trial and error, but that helped narrow down the potential straight lines greatly. I couldn't really do anything with the pool and meadow alone, but once we got a base clue with the airfield picture that narrowed down the possible straight lines in a good bit. Having Watchung as a possible end location from the weather also was helpful. for this part because I had an idea where the ending was already. It was a lot of trial and error. After the Catholic Church clue, I only had 2 lines left, one from Horsham base and one from McGuire base. Once we got the dam clue, then I had a line that I was certain of cutting through Watchung. Let's see.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what we had hoped. It's hard to tell before we actually do this too how much benefit these paths have, and that's also what part of our fun challenge was in doing is that we didn't want, like I said earlier, we didn't want it to end too soon because the rain wiped out 90% of the circle, and then the straight line has got one option, and then it's done. So it was quite a bit of juggling, but we feel we're happy with how it turned out. We certainly have stuff that we want to improve on for Veil 2, and we're appreciative of all of you for sharing with us what you want us to see do differently and improve on. Here's the final pin. We will share the final coordinates, but not far from the loop in Watchung there.
There was somebody. There was somebody the day before it was found who was like maybe 80, I mean maybe 100 feet from it. It was like right in that same area. I saw some pins. I don't know who posted it, but you were very close, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey guys, we did have one question from early on that I captured from the chat that I want to go ahead and bring up. It was actually from Pope himself. The question is, was it a coincidence that the circle centers kept moving on the same vector for pairs of 3 days?
It was not. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that was the pairs of 3 days was not a coincidence. The shifts were certainly very much us reacting to the weather and wanting to not eliminate too much of the circle.
Yep.
And that was the only question that we haven't answered from the chat. So we are open for questions.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions?
While you're typing those questions in, just do a quick plug. Veil 2, we're roughly 2 weeks out from Veil 2. We're going to have a very similar starting circle. We haven't decided on the diameter of that circle yet. We ideally want a smaller diameter to start. We think that's when more people really feel like they get interested in it. But TBD on that, but it'll be roughly in the same area. After Veil 2, if people are still interested in doing it, it very much is our goal to start to branch out from the location of this circle and build upon it. We're not saying branch out and go like all the way into Alaska for the next one, unless one of us has a work trip in Alaska. but the goal is to build off of it and spread, because I know you guys are all in a bunch of different areas too.
We do have a lot of requests actually already. There were people like somebody contacted me from Texas and Tennessee and a couple other places. So we'll definitely like work our way to getting out to more places. It's going to take some time, but we're excited. One thing I wanted to talk about real quick was Pope's question. So the circles were for the most part set. We had the straight line set, and so that kind of set everything within a certain range, and then we were allowed a little bit of wiggle room within that range to be able to adjust stuff. So we did adjust as we kind of went through for weather, and then as we kind of got later, we made some adjustments, to try and keep the game a little more interesting. But it's all within a couple degrees, moving it like a few miles here and there. Yeah.
Vapok, any interesting questions in there?
Yeah, so I think the one question which maybe we might be able to post in the Discord is, what were the final coordinates? Ericles wants to put the geocache there.
Yep, I can get that from.
Yeah, we'll post them, and we should put them up on the website or something too. But we can certainly drop them in the.
And then the next question from Andrew is, do you already know your hiding location for Veil 2?
We can't possibly say, Andrew. Here's what I will say. We didn't know the hiding location for Veil 1 until we got there. We had 3 parks that we said, okay, we've liked the potential in this park. There's potential in this park. There's potential in this park. This one has more history. This one has more other stuff or whatever. So we wanted to go to Watchung first, and we liked the layout. We liked the density of people that we saw. We liked the options that it gave us with clues. So that's why we settled on that one first. We have some parks that we've been really looking into, but TBD on whether or not any of those are final. Frankly, we may not know until we get there and decide that we don't like it, and then go to another one.
Mike, wanted to answer Mike's question real quick. Oh, sorry. Do we think it's possible that someone would get all of our clues wrong and yet almost find it? It's entirely possible. There could be somebody who's just randomly walking through the woods that happened upon it. We put a card underneath the treasure that would have explained. We didn't know the writing on it would wear away, but it would have explained what to do in that situation. They would have been the winner. And so they would have just had to go and sign up for an account and then follow the steps on the, that's kind of the beauty of this, is that you could be someone who happens upon it, or you could be a free player who happens to, be able to find this, and then it's yours to keep, and you get the prize money that comes with that. Are the prizes always going to be the same, or do you envision other items other than money? So we have a lot of ideas about that. Nothing that's set in stone, but we've talked about a lot of alternatives that we could do that would be really exciting.
I don't want to go into too much detail on this part of it, but what I will say is that the law is so different from state to state. There are some states where you can't have a growing prize pool if you hide the treasure in that state. It has to be a fixed value. There are other states with other wacky rules. Some states where it's not allowed at all, which I know some of you were trying to join from Delaware and weren't able to join from Delaware. Some of that we're erring on the side of caution a little bit, because we just we're trying to go about this the right way. We want to keep doing it. We want to grow the community and cooler hunts for larger treasure values and everything. But we do know that we will have two types of hunts. That's our goal for now, is our veil hunts, which are for the golden treasure, which you all were hunting for on this one. And we'll also have theme hunts. One of our first theme hunts that we want to do is going to be like a glowing energy canister prop, and all of the clues will be tailored to that energy canister falling off of a top secret government plane story. So that'll be a cool one. Still a treasure hunt fundamentally, but a nice fun spin on it.
Any plans for an armchair hunt? So we've talked about that too. We have ideas for how to include, a more remote audience, but we're probably a little further out in those plans. At this point, we need to get the foundation solid before we can look into anything, of that nature, I would say.
Yeah, part of it too is Paul and I have talked about this. What's a version 1 website and a version 2 website look like? And we've got a big version 2 website list of wish list things that we just at some point we would need help implementing.
I wouldn't say that you wouldn't see one in Delaware. You just can't participate if you're from Delaware. That is how I
don't even know we should say that. We saw, yeah. So we were reading we've read the legal code for almost every state. not quite all of them, but just about every one of them. And we had some lawyers give us advice too, and Delaware spooked us enough to where we're we're not messing with Delaware. No, if things like build or whatnot, we'll really invest time and get help with deciding, if we can do it. But there are just a few states that are it's not worth it to get in trouble if we aren't allowed to do it there.
Mm-hmm. I see a few more people typing. For what are our plans on how often these hunts take place? So as we kind of ramp up, we're aiming to keep a hunt pretty consistent, at least through the nicer months of the year. We're going to try and keep one out there pretty consistently. There's probably always going to be a little bit of downtime in between them, just because it takes a little bit of time to get everything coordinated for the next hunt, and also get everything set up on the website end and everything like that. So there's probably always going to be a couple weeks in between. We want to try and keep them rolling pretty consistently.
That's our short-term goal. Our long-term goal is to have 3 circles going at any given time all across the country. That's thinking down the road. We just think it would be so cool to see a map of the U.S. and there's a circle there, there's a circle there, there's a circle there. And we've got 2 ways that we conceive of getting to do it. One way is with us doing all those hunts. The other way we've still got to look into and see how possible that could be and what that might look like. But we want our goal is to bring to offer accessible adventures for everybody. And what we really like about this, and what we've liked about other hunts that do stuff like this, like Estes Hunt and Skydrop and other hunts, is that with the circle, you see where it is and you feel like, well, I'm in the circle or near the circle. I could go look there and I'm on the adventure. Whether or not you're anywhere near where the treasure is, it's an adventure that feels accessible. And that's what our main goal is. And yes, you'll learn something about the history of it and do some like thinking and puzzly stuff and whatnot. But the goal is really to get people outdoors and off the beaten path and explore in a way that's fun and safe and we're never going to put it in an area where you got to climb a cliff or in an active deer hunting zone or anything like that. But we want people to feel like they can go outside and have an adventure like the old days.
BK, we have plans for if somebody. I mean, we have plans to avoid people stalking us. I should say. Hopefully, avoid that happening.
Was that a question? Was that a question in the chat?
Real quick, woodland metal detecting. We would never be putting or at least we don't envision putting a national size circle. It's just too big. We think that even like the circle we have for this is probably even a little bit bigger than we want to do on average. So we want to make sure this is like an accessible hunt for people to be able to get to within, like say they could be searching within 30, 45 minutes of where they live. That's like a pretty key factor for us to be, just for them to be able to get outside and feel like they're part of the game, But I don't envision, unless we do something down the line for focused around like the winners of previous hunts or something like that, which we could, but that would be the instance where I would see that maybe being a larger starting circle. Let's see. Phantom was talking about if we could start at multiple social media platforms with short teasers to get more people to sign up and follow, and maybe have a hunt with free hints posted on social media, but you could pay from really. Ultimately, this comes down to there may be an option where you could pay for like an individual hit line at some point. We don't have it set up that way now, but I don't know. We'd have to think. What?
Yeah, we looked into that briefly a while ago, and there's we can't do that yet because there's some like very gray area legally on if you can do that in games of skill. So we were like, okay, we're not going to touch that for now. But at some point, as we look to grow, that certainly could be something that we look at.
Yeah, but ultimately, we are running this as a business, so we do need to find a way to make these profitable, and so that's the mechanic that enables us to be able to recoup our initial cost of fronting the money for the prize. So I don't
can't lose a few grand on every hunt.
Yeah, can't lose a few grand on every hunt. So I don't know that we'll be posting free hints anytime soon, and also I think arguably just as important as the hints is the trail cam archive, unless you guys want to be glued to your screen every 30 minutes for the 24 hours a day, that can get kind of brutal. But so those two things kind of really lead to an advantage for paid members, and I think we're likely going to keep that for now. Let's see, is Veil 2 beginning before the beginning of May? We will not give you the official launch. It's going to be right around. Yeah,
TBD. It'll be around then. We've got some stuff we've got to sort out and just make sure we want to keep it going. We don't want to lose momentum with anybody who's interested. We also want to make sure that we're doing it right. So we'll have a pre-sale that goes up beforehand, just like we did with Veil 1. So you guys will see it coming, and we'll send everyone an email too.
Mandalina said she said in our graphic beneath in the how to play section we had a map and with 3 other types posted in there. Did they not really mean anything, or I just looked too far into it? Those are just graphics that we made to be able to elicit types of hints that could, or clues that could be made over the course of time. We have 30 different clue types that we are going to eventually get to all of them. We did 3 for the first hunt, so the next hunt will likely have 3 entirely different clue types. She's referencing in your join to receive additional daily clues there. Yeah. So that was referencing like a reveal map, a drone image, like a written riddle kind of, and then I can't even read the last one there, but So the clue
Yeah, this
tagging will
would've been
change
like
per
a-
hunt. Though.
Yeah, the two on the left were actually clues that we had for our test hunt. We did two test hunts. One of them was a theme hunt. The other one was a just like a Veil Zero type hunt. So yeah, this represents a few different types of clues that could come.
Could you eliminate access to the circle after a certain day unless you pay? We could do that, but I mean, like, I feel pretty strongly that there needs to be a way for someone to play for free. Like, it's entirely possible to be able to win the game if you are glued to your screen 24 hours a day watching weather patterns. You could do it and like grid searching the right areas. And I think that that's like a really strong element to be able to convince new people to get used to our site, get used to the community, and then eventually hopefully transition them to becoming a paid user for looking at clues. So just it kind of helps us like, lather people into it.
Very unlikely, though. Obviously, like with the clues. Imagine you started grid searching on day 16. You would have had what was the radius? 18 miles, 24 miles, whatever it was.
It would have been
or it
impossible.
might have been
You can
less
do it.
than
I'm
9
just
miles.
saying it is possible. Yeah.
Yeah. We with the clues, we design the clues so that it'll ideally be found in that day 15 to 19 range. But yeah, someone could just stumble upon it if they happen to walk 800 feet into the chasing their dog or something. I don't know. Sure, it could get found. I think we were 600 feet maybe for this hunt. I forget what the exact number was.
Yeah. All right. So then somebody said, but what is the Veil trophy made of? Is it actually metal or just hard plastic? And do you make them yourselves? Jeff, I'll let you go into that and the implications of printing them.
I used to make them myself. Yeah. So the few days I 3D modeled and 3D printed them, and we paint them with. We tested. It was gonna sound silly, but like we tested so many different types of gold spray paint before I found like this niche, graffiti spray paint that we use. But we spray paint them, 3D print them ourselves, or myself. I print them. We've got these little gems that we put in there. I did destroy my 3D printer like 2 days before we launched, 2 days before we went out to go hide it, and that was a super low moment for me. But if we can break even, maybe on the next hunt, I'll get another 3D printer. We've got 8 or 9 other treasures sitting here waiting to be hidden, so we've got time. I want to like get a theme hunt going because I'm really excited about the theme hunts, and I'm gonna get a 3D printer at some point anyway. It's just when do we do it is really the question. I actually have another 3D printer sitting right here. It's just not a resin printer, so I don't too much effort.
We need a merch
Maybe we can-
store.
I'm so glad somebody brought that up. Whoever it was, that's the last point I had on my list. Talk about the merch. So we do want to do merch. I was thinking like we could have a shirt that says like the clues speak for themselves and has like a symbol of the symbol of the treasure. We could have find veil or found veil for Pope. Maybe that's a Pope special shirt, or founded veil for us, or whatever for other people who want to look for it. We also, aside from merch stuff, I think we'll definitely get there at some point. We think it'd be really cool to do a meetup at some point too. So maybe after Veil 10 or something, we could have like a big meetup at the end of the summer and somewhere somewhat centrally located, and get to see everybody in real life. And maybe by then we'll have a few different theme hunt treasures that we can show you guys that you'll be on the hunt for at some point down the road.
Pope said maybe a new pair of pants. I can see why you would need new pants. I ripped up my jacket when I was out there the second time, so the clues will speak for themselves. Yeah, I heard that answer a few times. Yeah, it's easy to default to that. We don't want to get ourselves in any tricky scenarios.
We don't want people to feel like if they don't join the Discord, then they're at a disadvantage. So we just Discord's for everyone to share, amongst everyone else. But the clues must speak for themselves. We could do maybe a few more questions.
When I went out to fix the camera, how paranoid was I? I definitely was a little paranoid. We only had maybe like 100 people looking for it at that point. But I definitely was like watching my back. I did a little weird loop around where I was going to get there just to make sure that nobody was following me. And then I made sure that there was absolutely nobody on the trail I hid the thing underneath my coat really good so nobody could tell I had it. Like the stuff to fix it. I brought a second camera with me to be able to make sure if I need to replace it, and all that stuff. So I was like hiding that under my arm, real, sneakily trying to get back there.
paranoid when we like are searching for treasure, and like I didn't even think like running it on the other end, like the whole time we're like, oh my god, like, and even when the day we hit it, nobody knew who we were yet. Like we hadn't, our faces hadn't been out there, but we thought if somebody like sees us like holding this thing, so we had it in the bag, we had it wrapped up, we had like there were two people on the trail the day we went to hide it, and I remember thinking like just look natural, maybe make it look like we work for the park or something, like we're just like writing down like, oh, we gotta fix this trail marker or whatever.
Mhm.
I think paranoia, a little bit of paranoia, I think is good. Good thing.
All right, I don't see anybody else
So I
in the
see
chat.
you see Cassie in the chat. Cassie, I give you props. You were out there. I saw at one point you had like a team of 3 or 4 people out there searching with you. That's crazy. We appreciate it. I see a lot of you guys are people who were very active in Discord. So it's a really awesome community there. We love that you guys are talking about other hunts now in between Veil 1 and Veil 2. We're just glad that we're keeping the love going, and yeah, just really looking forward to getting Veil 2 out there and hitting the trails again and off the trails again.
Yeah, this is a really, really fun experience for us to be able to, be a part of facilitating this. Was, I think better than we even thought it would be. We had some expectations, and we definitely exceeded that for the amount of people we got to be join this, and the community that we have set up here. It's it was really, really awesome to be able to see this all unfold in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, what I would say too is that we did have almost 1,000 people who signed up between the paid and free tiers by the end. Paid members, I think it was like 140 something. If when all was said and done, I think it was 140 something. I don't exactly remember, but just to think of there were that many people who were interested in giving us a shot without knowing who we were. We have no track record. You didn't know if that thing was actually out there, if we were scam artists or something. So we know that there's a lot of it's a leap of faith for all of you to spend your money to play a game that you don't know anything about, and we're just really appreciative of you doing it, and we feel tremendous appreciation and also honor in what we're doing, and we just want to let you all know that we're going to give every one of these hunts, we give it our best, and we'll put some good clues out there and give everybody a fun little adventure, go on a side quest in life.
Oh, one more thing just for everybody. So you know how hard Pope went for this one. Pope is not disqualified from any future hunt. He is able to find it again. So you know what level of game you need to bring to the table to be able to find the next one.
Or you could be like Andrew H 2020 and just like get off of work a day or two earlier and beat Pope to it.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we roll out, guys?
There's a couple people typing. The day I found that I was working on the train, and it was still midday. I love the dedication.
Somebody said Dan,
Dan,
yeah.
If you want to post location-based riddles, we have a puzzles and games channel in the community section. That could be a good spot to post that. That's for stuff that's not necessarily pertinent to our hunt. Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
I see Cassie is typing something, and then I think we'll probably cut it off after that. We had like 50-something members on here, so that was great.
Yeah.
I think like we've got, let me look at our show flow just to make sure we didn't miss anything too.
I got my Johnny Fairplay reference in. I think I got it all.
Oh man, it was the best season. They brought him back again for a second time too. Right? Wasn't he on the like Heroes vs Villains or something, or All-Star season? It was like the first All-Star season.
I went down once I made that connection. I went down like a Johnny Fairplay, and then like
with Rupert and Sandra. Was that the year? He might have been on with Rupert and Sandra. Yeah. That was the best year, arguably the best year.
Rob and Amber went down that rabbit hole.
Cassie, it will be in the same area. I can guarantee that. It might not be the exact same starting circle, but it's going to be in the same relative area.
Yeah, I would say Rupert's probably my favorite. And then but what was her name? Sandra?
Yeah, Sandra was great.
The one who like people said she was loud. Yeah, I love Sandra too. They're top two
Yeah.
all time. Yeah.
But Rupert taking the shoes out of the other tribe's raft was like one of the greatest moments that I could ever remember in the show. It was pure gold. He like took the other
Yeah.
team's shoes and put them into his own raft, so they didn't have any shoes anymore for the rest of the thing.
Well, thank you guys
wait,
so
we can't-
much.
Baypok in the area.
Angelina,
Yeah, I was just gonna say Rupert established the villain arc in Survivor.
But in
Yeah.
the nicest
Oh, right.
way
You're there. Oh, what? When he stole the shoes?
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was the beginning of next level thievery on Survivor. Because
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
incredible.
everybody was really good about, kind of following the rules and not being too shady. I mean, you had some shenanigans like Richard Hatch in season 1, but Rupert set the stage for what we would see over the next 40 seasons of like rifling through bags and like looking for idols that
Yeah.
people are wearing. I firmly believe he set the watermark there when he stole those sandals.
It was
I don't know
it was an
why-
unbelievable moment. I loved it.
When
Yeah.
I must have been like 14 at the time, and I'll never forget Rupert saying "Pirates steal," and I thought like, oh man, this guy is awesome with this.
Wearing his tie-dye shirt it was great.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much, Vapoc. Thank you, man. Like none of this, I didn't even know what a community stage was until you told us about it. So you're really the whole reason that everyone here has been able to come together in such an awesome area and not like the back alley of Discord, which is what we would have had. So I can't thank you enough. And we feel grateful that you're interested in what we're doing and lending more than a helping hand. So just thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me on the ride. This has been a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you over in the Discord chat and for the Veil 2 recap.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Oh.
See ya. Thank you, Pope.